again, everybody. The London Spitfire had the LA Gladiators' backs against the wall, but they couldn't get the shields down as the Gladiators were able to bring it all the way back for the reverse sweep and a 3-2 victory in overtime. And with that, the Gladiators complete the season series sweep of the London Spitfire. And man, not only are the LA fans really happy about that, but Fisher, man, he seems to be in a good place after that victory. But anyways, moving on to our next match, we have the San Francisco Shock going up against the NYXL. It's gonna get really loud in here. Now, the San Francisco Shock, even though they lost earlier this week to the Philadelphia Fusion, they are still in stage playoff contention. They just need to keep winning, but they gotta go through the NYXL. And you know what? Let's keep it 100. The NYXL, they've kind of let their foots off the gas a little bit. They've already clinched the playoff spot. They got the #1 seed, so they're not playing to their fullest potential. So if there's any time that the San Francisco Shock can sneak in and steal a win, it'd be today, and they need to do it. Yo, Blizzard Arena, you guys ready to see this? I know there's a lot of Shock fans. All right, well, let's go ahead and get up into the matchup with the crew at the desk.
Thank you so much, Malik, and shout out to the crowd for the awesome signs here in the venue today. Some ridiculous ones out there as well. I'm your host, Puckett. We got Crumbs. We've got Mr. Sideshow here at the desk, and this has been the week of upsets, fellas.
It has.
Now we got the Shock in a situation where they're going up against the #1 seed in the entire league, and if you're coming into the stage, I'd say anytime you play New York, it's basically a clear loss. But New York is coming off back-to-back losses at the hands of our LA teams.
They are, and this is all about the Stage 4 playoffs here because NYXL have already locked up their spot and San Francisco Shock are already out. But when you look at the Stage 4 standings, New York XL, if they keep losing, they might even slip out of that picture, which would be mental. And the San Francisco Shock, yes, they're in 7th, but they still have a chance of getting into that top 4 and being able to win. They would have to take down one of NYXL and the Valiant and pick up that win over the Dragons.
Now, for the New York Excelsior, this squad has been to every stage playoff. They fell short in stage 1, but they've won the last 2. Currently, you saw them, they're in 3rd place here in stage 4, but with 3 games left, Crumbs, what is the chance here? What's the likelihood that they could continue to slip and potentially miss out on these stage playoffs?
It would be preposterous to see New York choose to not enter stage 4 playoffs because a loss here means that you are tied in 5 and 3, which means that there is way too many teams that have their own fate in their hands, and you don't. I think that New York puts the foot down here and says, all right, guys, let's give it our all.
Let's take a look at what was going on with the Excelsior when they're matching up against the Valiant as well as the Gladiators. Josh, what were some of the big missteps?
Well, I think it all comes down to the latter half of the game. They normally start strong, the NYXL, but when it's come to maps like Gibraltar, they really look all over the place, not playing at their fullest potential whatsoever. Very sloppy performance, and it's been Nepal, that tiebreaker map, that they have genuinely struggled on. I think it's fair to say that they've taken their foot off the gas on some maps. When it gets down to that tiebreaker map, I don't believe that they're not trying when it gets to the 5th map. They are giving their all, and they are not coming out with the wins on Nepal. So they've got to focus on that map moving forward.
Let's talk about the maps. Crumbs, are we even getting to a Game 5 as we look at the levels that we'll be playing on here? How does New York compare against the Shock?
So that's the thing. When you're looking at these maps, and specifically what New York is doing, their preparation is a little bit less focused on maps right now. So going back to these ones that they have already played, it means that they're going to be a lot more comfortable in that. That's why Josh is saying that New York looks a lot stronger here. These maps, they have looked very strong already. And look at that.
Yeah.
Only 1 loss in the pool of 4 on Oasis, and that's a 7-1 record.
Yeah, they're so good on Oasis. Unbeaten on Kings Row throughout the entire season. No Gibraltar in there to trip them up as well. If somehow Shock can get it to a 5th, then they're looking good, but it would take gargantuan efforts. Shock have been looking great so far, but it's still going to be punching upwards for them to be able to take down NYXL.
The Shock has slowly been improving their roster. They've been adding pieces. Players turning 18 became eligible throughout the season. Today, what is the individual matchup you guys are looking forward to? Who from the Shock, who from the New York Excelsior will be facing off?
I'm excited to see the battle of the Flex DPS because Libero and Architect are among the top 4. You guys talked yesterday about Fleta and about EQO, but Architect and Libero have been fantastic. You can see here that these guys are very flexible. They play a lot. Libero plays some of the Hanzo, whereas Architect leaves that to Baby Bay. He plays a little more of the Junkrat. That's kind of because Sabi Olby picks up just those key roles of Tracer and Widow. but Architect has a very clear trio that he plays of that Genji, Widow, and Pharah, and his stats are incredible. We'll take a look at the Genji head-to-head of Architect and Libero, and they have really been playing at peak performance. San Francisco Shock, when Krusty has been added, has allowed them to play dive very effectively, and I think we'll see a lot of that. We haven't seen much dive over the course of Stage 4, but both of these teams are really strong at it.
The head coach making the San Francisco Shock a playoff contender here for Stage 4, but Crumbs, let's be honest. The Shock are the underdogs today, right?
Yes, absolutely.
If they're going to get the win, who's the guy to help them get there?
So to help Shock get to this win, you take a look at how they played against Philadelphia, and it was Carpe that was giving them a run for their money, and he was really a nightmare, and the guy that was dealing with him was Super. So today, when I'm looking at Architect going up against New York Excel, the sniper battle will have to inevitably receive help, and I think that Super will be the guy. Look at him. He's just bopping around Carpe because he knows he's going to be killing the rest of his team. So today, this same thing needs to happen in every single match that Widow has played.
The question today for New York Excel, which Widow do you put out there? SBB, Pine, Libero? Yeah.
Oh, they're all great.
Take your pick. Hey, Mono, you want to go snipe? You can probably do that too. Crumbs, let's get into it. The players are ready. The match is about to start. Let's get the official prediction. So far, you got pretty lucky in that first match. You both are 1 for 1.
Lucky?
Crumbs,
Luck. Was it luck?
well, you said you didn't
Skill.
think they would win at halftime. So yeah, that was luck. Crumbs, let's go. Where are you going right now in this match?
Oh, it is so hard to go against New York Excelsior. They have only lost 5 games, and here a loss puts them away from their own fate in Stage 4 playoffs. I think that New York finally says we need to win now. Cannot afford a loss. New York Excelsior for me.
I just saw Super shaking his head, disappointed off stage.
Hey,
Josh, you went with New York
motivation.
the last 2 times. They've let you down.
They really have.
Back-to-back matches against the California teams. Is this the 3rd win for a California squad against New York XL today?
No. No, it's not. NYXL, they are the favorites coming into this. They've let me down twice before, but I'll be incredibly surprised if they let me down again. When we looked at that map pool, I think these are incredibly strong for the NYXL. San Francisco Shock, you've been good, but you haven't been NYXL good so far.
Well, they brought me gifts today, Josh, and that is going to be enough to get my predictions. The Shock are going to take the game today and keep themselves in the playoff hunt for Stage 4. Are you guys ready to start this match? It's time to bring out our squad, starting with the #1 team in the league. It's your New York XL. SBB Merit Man Meta coming out first, trying to get this team fired up. New York, so dominant throughout the regular season. Yes, they slipped up at the end of Stage 1, but that was a playoff match. When you look at their regular season games, though, this is the fiercest team in the league.
It is, yes, but it's not the fiercest because they're the most explosive or they literally have the best players on every hero, although they are really good as well. But they play a very structured style that's slow, it's very careful, they minimize their mistakes, and that's what we've seen creeping in more and more recently is mistakes in positioning. So I want to see disciplined NYXL today. I want to see rigid, structured NYXL, slow NYXL, pushing your opponents out
Janus is
NYXL.
in. You know that's not going to happen. Janus, he's just going to go pop off.
He is.
For all the flanks in the backline. He's going to be targeting Sleepy and Moth all day.
Yeah, but that's their King's Row strategy, right? Is the rest of their team plays very structured and they have Janus just like leaping in the backlines. It's still minimizing mistakes whilst trying to capitalize on your opponents. So that's really what I want to see the difference. Because if you start slumping in the end, even if it's because you're not putting 100% in, I think that mentality can be a little contagious as you go towards the playoffs.
As we take a look at this starting lineup, there is one name. If you're a new fan, you need to know Jonak, probably the favorite for the T-Mobile MVP for the Overwatch League inaugural season. I think it's Carpe. Everyone else, well, that lives in Sideshow's apartment goes with Jonak. But we'll see what he can do today as we're going up against a very tough team from the Bay. Please show some love for your San Francisco Shock. Just 16 and 21 overall, but if you look at their second half of the season when their players came in and the whole squad was eligible, this team has risen to all new heights. It was a letdown in their matchup against Philadelphia, but at times they showed us what this team can do.
I mean, this team is just just touching the heights of what they can do right now because, again, the structure is new, the players are new. If you look at the time that these guys have together, the fact that they're already here contending for Stage 4, that they have shown the synergy to take down guys from season playoffs, it's already very impressive for the Shock, and any win here is already just going to be a little nod in their resume for next season.
I definitely agree. If you're a San Francisco Shock fan, the future looks pretty bright. This team has a lot of potential and wasn't necessarily designed to have massive success in Season 1. But nevertheless, as we've got into Stage 4, they have been delivering results. A very close loss to the Philadelphia Fusion, but there are still great things to look forward to, particularly the two guys you just saw, Super and Sinatra, who are key focuses, I think, for Krusty, the new head coach.
Yep.
They're going to be playing a lot of dive, I think, as we get later on in the series. Probably not on Kings Row. That's more the field of the tanks. But these guys have been revitalized and are looking a lot better.
Honestly, I gotta give love to Baby Bay as well.
Nice.
This guy on hit scan was on fire in his previous match. Can they get the job done today against the league's best team? We're about to find out. LA, make some noise. It's time to get this match started and to bring you the action. We got Doa and Monty.
Oh, hi, guys. Hey, what's up? Thanks, Puckett. It's time for another match. That's right, between New York Excelsior and their opponents, the San Francisco Shock. New York on the verge of losing 3 times in a row in a 7-day period, which has obviously never happened before for this team. So what do you think? Do you think New York is finally going to get a win again here?
So I did think the Gladiators were going to beat them earlier this week, but
Sure.
I don't think that the San Francisco Shock, as much fun as they are to watch right now and how much they've improved, quite have the fundamentals down to beat New York at the present time. Even after New York has already sewn up that #1 seed, they seem a little sluggish, as if something is weighing them down recently. So I think probably they're still going to win, though. San Francisco just isn't quite at that level yet.
And you wanted to specifically take a look at the Widowmakers, right?
Yeah,
Sabiel
yeah.
B versus Pine. We've got a graphic for that. Let's take a look at it. There it is. So Sabiel B's gotten really good on the Widow lately, hasn't he?
Yeah, and that's the point. A lot of people will think about Pine when they think about the NYXL and his Widow statistics, but Sabiel B has really stepped up. And remember, a lot of the time, they would run Libero or Pine last stage or on previous stages as Tracer was more meta. And now they've transitioned Sabiel B over to that role because Libero's playing the Junkrat, Libero's playing sometimes the Brigitte as well. And these are compositions. I mean, New York is very limited in what they've been running recently, whether that's going to be double sniper, Widow Brigitte, Widow Junkrat, or dive. That's basically everything that they run at the present time.
Yeah, makes sense. And with San Francisco, I feel like this is a team, obviously, like the desk talked about, that's really, really gotten a lot better lately. And this map pool is pretty good for them, I think. They have not, if you look a little bit farther in the map pool, we're going to start with Kings Row, of course, but if you look ahead to Oasis, they've won their last 3 Oasis maps in a row. If you look at Dorado, they're 2-0 on that map, which is all the times they've played it in Stage 4. So I think this is a pool that they're going to be comfortable with. Now we can take a look at it. Kings Row, going to be our first map, then Hanamura, and then, like I mentioned, Oasis, Dorado. So they've got a pool that I think they can do well on against New York.
Yeah, I think New York, although when we look at Kings Row, you have to look at their
they're 9-0
overall.
on that
Yeah,
map.
they've
Yeah,
never
that's-
actually lost this map. I do think they should have lost this map against the Gladiators. Gladiators made some pretty key mistakes at critical junctures, especially Void with those gravitons in the last match. So we have at least seen some level of weakness. But like you say, San Francisco is undefeated on Kings Row as well, at least in Stage 4. So they've turned this map around, as they've turned this team around, really. So San Francisco looking to make the plays. And of course, Baby Bay coming in means that we'll probably see some Hanzo, Widow, and McCree out of him, depending on the situation.
Generally, that's what it is. But for now, it's New York Excelsior on the attack here. They got #1 all locked up, but there's still the stage playoffs to think about for both teams, actually. San Francisco an opportunity to take it here.
And nothing new from the NYXL. It is just going to be double sniper, what they play on Kings Row attack these days. I don't know if San Francisco is going to be able to force them off of it because they seem pretty dead set on running this composition throughout the entire attack.
It's tough to force New York off of anything they feel like playing at the recent games. Sabiel B kind of sneaking around the side, has some support, of course, from Janice. Putting down the shield, giving him a little bit of cover anyway. And ooh, wow, Choyo Bin just going in, pushing Sabiel B back to the hotel, but that's tough to push San Francisco off of here.
It
Get
is.
some picks.
Baby Bay is above Sabiel B too, and that's where see Meko dodging up there, trying to do a little bit of damage and force Baby Bay out of that upper window. Libero's flanking behind. He's actually behind the Orisa right now. That's going to be a scatter arrow. Oh, it doesn't hit anybody.
What in the world? Wow. Lucky break for San
Oh, that
Francisco
is-
there. Super does get the D-Mech onto Meko as well.
Yeah, that could have been a disaster, but it looked like nobody even really got hit by that
No.
scatter, really absorbed by the barrier, and sometimes that scatter RNG works in your favor, sometimes it doesn't.
True enough. I want to get a slow motion replay of that one and watch them all like Matrix dodge it or something like that. Oh, that move like that.
I mean, NYXL spent a lot of time setting up that flank, too. They really snuck the Hanzo into that back line, and
Yeah.
it's going to take significant amounts of seconds off the clock here.
All right, well, Mercy Ultimate's up for each team. So perhaps something that New York can commit to a push here. Sinatra getting very close to his rip tire, too, and that's going to be annoying to deal with for New York when it does come up. All right.
They're going to start
we go.
capping the point with Jonas, so it's going to force the drop down right now. Libero dives to the back line to Choi Hyobin, who is protecting Baby Bay.
Just gets smacked down by the Diva. And meanwhile, the fight taking to the upper hallways here, but Meko, I believe, yeah, already out of the mech. Now Sinatra sends in the Riptire. Not a lot of protection in that hotel. Not a lot of protection for Janice either. He is down, and San Francisco holding well so far. The res comes in from Animo. He popped that Valkyrie.
And this is New York's chance. They don't have a mech onto Meko right now,
Yep.
but because Animo got the kill onto Sinatra in the Valkyrie, they have an opening where they're 6 versus
All right.
5.
There we go. Choibin down. It's another tank out of the way. Oh, but Janice taken out as well. The supercharger out of commission. Jonak just waiting with that trance. Going to use it to keep Meko all healed as they move back onto the point. A few more people to deal with in the hotel here. But New York slowly just trying to grind this one out, but I don't know if this push is going to be it. They're sort of meandering their way towards the point. There's the kill on the Baby Bay, so Sabielby gets him in that long hallway. Moth with the res, but that's one tick taken by New York already. Libero with the Dragon Strike, ready to go too. Chasing down Choyabin, he's out for revenge this time. And not against his brother. It's not a lore kind of revenge.
Well, they're going to try and push through. They want to commit this self-destruct to this, so they're really trying hard to drive some more ultimates out of the NYXL and stall this for as long as they can, but they are, well, it looks like they may come back, but no.
Okay.
London is going to get this eventually, especially with the Valkyrie up and the respawns coming in.
Yeah, that's the thing. You've got that spawn advantage to get people back quicker here. Choyabin demeched again. Moth did res super, and they're on the point again for the moment, but New York nearly took it. Now they're just going to go in with Jonak. He's like, hey guys, just follow me. I'm going to the point. Sleepy responds with his own trance as well. Choibin and Sinatra down regardless, though. Libero sneaking on that. Ooh, nearly got one shot by Sleepy there.
Hey, San
Get a
Francisco,
right click.
yeah, San Francisco did a great job of holding this so far. They nearly pushed them into overtime. And that's like basically a minute and a half, 2 minutes that they were just able to delay. So you'll take that.
No kidding. Well, eventually New York gets that payload going. Jonak finishes Baby Bay off on the end. He had swapped over to the Soldier 76 to get back there a little bit quicker. And you did see Sabielby start to win those Widow v Widow battles against Baby Bay as well, and that kind of opened up the point a bit for New York to keep pressuring.
Something we have to talk about too is how good Sinatra's been on the Tracer recently. I think that's been, we always know Sinatra is a great Tracer player, but I think he struggled with it a little bit after coming off the bench. He was, of course, on the bench because he was not 18 yet, so not legally able to play in the Overwatch League. But now that he's come back off, he really does look like he's in form on Tracer. Seemed a bit rusty, and that's a compliment too to all of his additional
Behind New York
heroes.
too. Pulse Bomb comes in, no kills out of that one, but Libero does get finished off by Baby Bay. That was a long and possibly deadly flank by Sinatra. At least did kind of scatter New York a little bit and let San Francisco sort of regain control over the payload.
Super now with a shatter. Needs to wait for the support ults to come up again, but that pick is going to slow the NYXL down and maybe give them opportunity. They're going to open with a self-destruct.
Turns the shield, but Super not kind of abused for doing that. And right under the payload goes the Earth Shatter. That's 4 down actually with that Earth Shatter. Oh, and the self-destruct comes in. The D-Mech and 3 kills besides. That is definitely the type of defense you want if you're San Francisco.
Fantastic combo. They hold onto their support ultimates as well. Now they can just fall back. And NYXL, they were trying to open up space with that self-destruct, but they had nothing else to follow it up. So all it did was force Super to take a step back, turn his shield to protect Sleepy, and then they're able to counter with some great crowd control on their own.
Sleepy's one of those, I don't want to call him sleepers and yada, but it's sort of a pun that makes sense because he's a person that gets a lot of picks sort of in the background of everything else that's going on with his team. But interestingly enough, like his average kill distance is the longest in the league, so he doesn't like getting up close. New York like to get up close against San Francisco though right now. A couple early kills to start this fight. Snipers doing work. Meanwhile, Sinatra, another pulse bomb ready to go.
NYXL, their last match against the Gladiators, made it to the end, basically, of point B, but it was at the last possible second. So they've been struggling this double sniper composition, and they're just not switching.
Libero was right behind him. Snuck in there, and it looks like it might be point B. We'll see if San Francisco can make another attempt at stopping it. Wow, that's a scatter arrow that worked out. Super just insta-gift. Choyobin from on high, though, will stop the payload right before the end of B. Sleepy gonna come in with that Transcendence. Super does get res, too, so San Francisco back in it, but the Dragon Strike going through. Libero does get the kill onto Super, so New York trying to push through yet again. Jonak has the Transcendence out. They're so close. The self-destruct, though, caused people to run and hide. Oh, Jonak got caught by that. Couldn't get behind the wall fast enough.
They are going to get a resurrection. Oh, no, Baby shoots Animo right as he's trying to res.
Yeah,
and this could be it for San Francisco.
This could be it for New York. Mecco in a little bit of trouble here. Libero down as well. And now San Francisco doing what they can to try to push him back. Janice jumps on, but he doesn't have a lot of health left. Another Earth Shatter comes through, and that's a hold from the San Francisco Shock. New York stopped cold at the end of B.
And that's a hold you never would have seen from the SF Shock earlier in this season, because it was in these overtime moments that they tended to panic. At the end of time, they would crumble. This time, however, in spite of getting picked, they used the trance to walk back up on the payload, get a res onto Super, and eventually stop the cart. That was just fantastically played from the Shock. We're going to take a look at the resurrection there, and Baby Bay, that shot means everything to his team's defense.
Yep. Waiting for it. If Animo had gotten this res, might have been tougher for San Francisco, but no, denied.
That was critical. So Jonak not able to come back up, and Baby Bay, he's been looking pretty good. Did have, I think, a rough head-to-head versus Carpe in their last match versus the Philadelphia Fusion, but outside of that map, I think that he's been really good so far. I think he's won every other map he's played besides against the Fusion.
And meanwhile, rest of Shock doing well. I've got to say, I've been liking Sleepy's, or not Sleepy's, Super's play on the Reinhardt in this map too. I mean, he had a lot of good Earth Shatters. Watching out where that Winston bubble ended up and then just kind of shattering under the cart when they're not expecting it.
I mean, I do think a part of this too, New York, they're not going to be switching compositions at all. They're locked into the first place seed, so they can just continue to run default comps.
Pretty much. Yeah, not a lot to worry about. As far as the rest of the matches in Stage 4 goes, I mean, yeah, they've got, I suppose, the Stage 4 playoffs to think about, but they've already won 2 of the stages. What more do you want? You've got first place locked up in the playoffs. Just do everything you can at this point to mess with your opponent's heads and kind of take it easy.
It's also, I think, a matter of just exhaustion. So many of these Overwatch League teams, in fact, basically everybody, is really tired this deep into the season.
Definitely.
The San Francisco Shock do have, I think, less fatigue because so many of these players have only played for half a season, which is probably another reason why they're doing so well right now. They don't have the same level of fatigue that a lot of the other teams do.
Yeah, totally true. I mean, a lot of the player interviews lately, one of the first things they'll say is, everyone's just so tired right now at this point of the season. And that's something New York trying to mitigate a little bit. San Francisco on the attack now here on Kings Row, trying to break that high ground defense with some well-placed Hanzo arrows and, of course, a bit more. Trying to find some picks with Sinatra, too. We do see him start out the Junkrat on this map a lot on the attack.
They're trying to push the high ground right now. They have Sinatra looking for some picks. And the Roadhog just trying to get that Orisa shield down, daring anyone to jump down onto the point.
Yep. Meanwhile, one tick taken by San Francisco already. Here comes a Riptire. Libero waiting for it. Who's in the hotel?
Nice shot.
Sleepy is. He's got orbs for the tire. Parking is outside. Meanwhile,
Not
Super...
inside the hotel.
No, they prefer you don't park there. Most cases. Meanwhile, San Francisco back on the point again. Super, I don't know how much HP that shield has left again. I think he needed to take a break and recharge some of that. He's got the Transcendence too. Yeah, gotta keep Super up here. Making over to Choyobin, keeping the tanks nice and healthy. As New York tries to get onto the point, but Sinatra there with the whole hog. Keeping them away for a little bit longer. Another tick taken. Kills coming in from New York, though, so San Francisco starting to scramble a little bit here.
Yeah, Animo waited to use the Valkyrie until the Shocks had already run out. So they gave up the second tick for that. And we'll see if it's worth it in the end, because the great thing about the Shocks comp is it has such excellent staying power on the point. So you can get a tick here or there, even when you lose a fight in the end.
There will be a loss in the end of the fight for that particular excursion onto the point. San Francisco has to regroup.
And now you used a lot, though, and you're walking back into a Riptire and a Supercharger to make sure that some other ultimates can come back up. Should be Riptire first here, just so the Supercharger can go down and Libero can charge another one quickly.
Yep. And remember, I mean, all San Francisco needs to do is take A and then get it most of the way through B. Definitely a winnable map for them. Baby Bay gets a Supercharger early. Oh, Sinatra shoots a Riptire. That's 2 already mitigated by San Francisco.
I mean, I definitely disagree with the use of the Supercharger there. Didn't actually do anything for the NYXL.
And maybe they were expecting a little bit more aggression. Ooh, there's some. Samuelby gets a nice shot onto Baby Bay. Meanwhile, Super turning the shield, trying to keep it between him and danger. Echo gets the D-Mech on the Choyobin. Super swinging away with a couple kills himself here. New York starting to crumble a little bit. Did he stop the res? No, he didn't. Janus brought back up by Animo anyway. And now the Orisa back on the point. Super waiting for a chance to maybe use that Earth Shatter, but he needs more of his team around him. Charge comes through, but he can't connect with anybody. Meanwhile, booped up in the air a little bit by that concussion mind, I believe. Now Janus, they need to keep him alive. Jonak's got the Transcendence. He can get onto the point and delay if he needs to.
All right, the biggest problem right now for the SF Shock is that they can't get the Jonak or on the high ground to Libero, so they're just getting bullied off the point by an immense amount of damage coming from the upper side of the map.
I mean, tragically, Sleepy couldn't get to Super in time with the Transcendence too, so that's just going to be New York holding again. And now just about 25 seconds left for San Francisco to somehow put together a point-taking push.
Sleepy staggered, as well as Choi Hyobin.
That's rough.
Yeah, it has been rough, but they really haven't contested the high ground at all. They've been trying to force the XL down, but when you have the accuracy of Jonak from that high vantage point, it makes it very difficult.
Sleepy going for the Moira, just trying to get as much speed, as much AoE healing in with this composition. Triple tank, triple support. They're on the point again. They're just going to try to brawl this one out. Jonak, meanwhile, pops that Transcendence as the fight begins. On the point, just one more tick needed for San Francisco to get the payload going. They've got the first kill. There goes Samuelby. Just a bit more. Supercharger down. Meko, low health, has to retreat. Same for Choyobin.
Another Riptire though, Doa.
Yeah, but will it get anything? First two didn't get anything, and the third
Sleepy
won't
stays
either.
alive!
Sleepy nearly taken out, but he still lives, and now New York getting the kills. Moth finished off by that self-destructed. Super done, and that's going to be the end of the map. New York holds on point A, and they will win it.
Yeah, I love the swap from San Francisco, though. You know, maybe it should have come in a little bit sooner after they had 2 ticks, because you can bully out with that amount of healing and that many tanks. So that's a great swap. I think if it had came a couple fights sooner, they would have been in an even better position.
Well, a strong defense from Shock, but an even stronger one from New York. On Kings Row, they're going to go up 1-0 in this series. When we come back, map number 2, don't miss it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel. Intel Core i7 powers the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
First on attack, Sabielby.
The untouchable Tracer, SBB caused him problem.
Channeling both. Give a huge stick from Sabielby. Takes down 3. He just cracked the point.
제 이름은 세별비고요. 뉴욕 팀에서 DPS를 맡고 있습니다. 뭐 스타성이라든지 중요한 게 많겠죠. 피지컬도 그렇고 일단은 후보로 선정돼서 기쁜데 필요한 거는 스타성하고 피지컬 뭐 그 정도면 될 것 같아요. 그냥 좀 막 슈퍼 플레이를 한다든지 가끔씩 그런 게 좀 크겠죠. 인상적인 장면을 남기는 거 경기 중에 좋다고 생각합니다.
New York, they're just finding all of the kills right now. One after another. Sabielby is running rampant.
제가 MVP로 선정된다면은 저에게 있어서는 제가 리그에 오기 전에 인터뷰를 한 적이 있어요. 시즌 1 때 MVP를
Great timing there. Justin comes out and gets 2. Sabielby with 3. Funny to fall. Oh, great way to shut up the Outlaws very quickly as they start to gain momentum.
차지하고 우승을 하겠다고 뭐 그러면 그 약속을 지키는 게 되겠죠.
Well, there we go, guys. Sabielby definitely, I would say, a contender for the T-Mobile MVP this season. What he's been able to do on Tracer, that's the hero, what in the world? What he's been able to do on Tracer, now what he's been able to do on the Widowmaker recently has been really, really impressive, actually. And the stats don't lie, man. I mean, especially look at that right now. First in eliminations per life. That is a pretty insane stat to have number 1 in.
Yeah, and especially because he has been diversifying his hero pool. Obviously, probably the clutchest Tracer, or Striker's way up there as well, but he's adapted better to the current meta. Striker's been looking better on Widowmaker recently, but as we looked at Pine compared to Sabielby earlier, he's also picked up on Pine stats as well and really become a central Widow for this team.
That's right. So if you want to vote for him or anybody else, hashtag Owl MVP or Jonak, yep. And then put the player ID in your tweet. That's right. And don't forget, if you're a T-Mobile customer who loves Overwatch League, then it's time to get thanked. This coming Tuesday, June 12th, T-Mobile customers can get a $20 off select Overwatch League merch at the Gear Store. How about that?
Exciting times.
It is.
If you've been waiting to buy a jersey and you're a T-Mobile customer.
But the offer is only available through the T-Mobile Tuesdays app, so go download it if you haven't already by June 12th to get the $20.
Good stuff. And we'll see.
Indeed.
Moving to this game,
Yes.
we'll see if San Francisco Shock can do better here on Hanamura, because I thought their defense was pretty good. They did struggle in that attack. Again, maybe a late swap on the composition.
Yeah.
And this is what we were talking about coming in. I think the desk touched on it nicely. San Francisco Shock is a vastly improved team. It's really great to see how well their young players are growing into their roles, especially with their new coach, Krusty, who's only been here for a month now. So there's a lot of there's a lot of encouraging signs, but I just don't think they're quite at the level yet where they're going to be able to beat NYXL even when the comp switches aren't happening, and NYXL really isn't putting a lot of time, it would appear, into preparing for their opponents.
That certainly seems like what it looked like on Kings Row, kind of both of the things you were saying there. And this is kind of what we've been saying about San Francisco all Overwatch League season long, right? I mean, this is a team that's going to really hit their peak in Season 2, right? That's kind of how the team was designed from the beginning, to bring in these players they knew they couldn't use right away. And then after they have been able to use them, you see these massive increases in performance team-wide.
Well, and I think that that was a risk, though, because it wasn't like it was a sure thing. All these players were going to turn 18. You know, they were going to get Architect and Choi Hyobin. These were not guarantees. So it is, I'm sure, the San Francisco fans and managements have had a collective sigh of relief that it really does look like it's working. The plan was solid, and we'll hope that they can continue to improve as time goes on.
The thing that always blows my mind is how specific people from San Francisco are about the way you talk about their city. I think they prefer San Fran
or Frisco,
or the town. I think is the other thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the village. I can't remember. Either way, they're very specific about it. You shouldn't mess that up. Here we go on Hanamura. New York on the attack. One more time, San Francisco on the defense.
Frisco on the defense.
Frisco. Oh, my bad. Yeah, thanks.
All right,
Don't love me now.
We are going to see a Pharah attack here on Hanamura. So they do like to play dive attack here, and we talked about how New York
nice
was
pick.
going to be pretty predictable, but this is one of their less predictable compositions they could run. They should be doing okay here, considering that Choi Hyobin on the Roadhog is going to be a little bit out of range of Libero under most circumstances, but he has to watch out for Baby Bay. Baby Bay's playing very aggressively, as we expect from Baby Bay. He likes to walk up.
No shock there. Ooh, Sibilby, speaking of aggressive, just gets right on the point, says, hey, all right, you guys have to react to me. That's going to open the door for a lot of other New York members to get through the choke there. Libero floating above, Sibilby backs up enough, but he nearly gets one tick by himself anyway. Sinatra actually got picked off by Libero too.
Yeah, that's going to be bad, because Sinatra can't be rezzed with Sebilby and Libero on the flank, so now they're going to have to try and get a kill onto one of the DPS a different way, and it's all about Libero pushing the tanks forward out of that barrier right now, harassing from behind and outside of the sights of Baby Bay's Widowmaker.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, now going after Sleepy in the little room. Meanwhile, back on the point, Baby Bay getting two. Ooh, so hard to approach that guy. There's a wave from Choyobin as Meko takes the dive off the edge of the map. And San Francisco still defending for now. They lost a couple people though, and that might give New York an edge if they rush back.
Yeah, Baby Bay had to hit those shots too, because after Sinatra fell, they needed time to buy to get him back, although he does switch over to the Tracer. Beautiful shots by Baby Bay. Automo, a little bit too eager to get through that choke point.
Yeah, Sinatra swapping to the Tracer after the Junkrat kind of gets killed off. Doesn't work too much. You can't get to the point quite as fast with that one. The Tracer's just going to be a little bit better at handling what New York is throwing at them right now anyway.
So 5-player flank around the backside of the point right here. Jonak is not there. He's still in the choke as they usually leave him. It's so hard to get a Zenyatta through that choke point.
That's going to make it pretty vulnerable. Ooh, Sabilby, though, finds a vulnerable Baby Bay. Sleepy down as well. New York storming onto Point A now. The res comes through onto Baby Bay. Somehow Moth able to bring him back up again. Meanwhile, the hook from Choyobin. Nice job taking out Sabilby. New York, though, still coming out ahead on that fight. And that should be Point A.
I mean, the damage had already been done. San Francisco knew that. Instead of wasting their ultimates in a frenzy, in a panic, they're going to keep basically everything. So, you know, pretty decent hold there. Nearly got down to a minute remaining, and San Francisco Shock is going to have 6 ults on their defense. So, low probability here that there will be some sort of crazy snowball push by the NYXL.
Yeah. New York would need to have a pretty insane push to be able to get through all those ultimates. And starting out with Baby Bay's Infrasight, San Francisco Shock already knows where New York is going to be, and you can see New York is aware of that. They're going to back off, wait that one out a little bit.
Yeah, it's especially unlikely because NYXL doesn't really have an ult that can open things up and get a pretty critical pick that they need to fight into a full ult complement from the Shock. Say if you only had a pulse bomb, there may be an outside chance, but
that would have helped, yeah.
Yeah, you're just not gonna, unless you know, Shock make a huge error, you're not gonna find a big play barrage, as it were.
Choyobin already gets a kill on the mono here. It's a good start. Libero drops a barrage, gets 2, gets 3, if you include the supercharger anyway. That's a big ultimate from Libero, and New York gonna try to steamroll that into maybe at least a tick here. San Francisco not done yet, but Choyobin not getting a lot done with that whole hog as he's domed by Jonak from behind. Now the Transcendence comes in from Sleepy, keeping Super alive. Moth there as well. Ooh, but the Orb of Discord on the Moth, he's getting so low right now. And now Janice, or rather Mono, in the narrow corridor, going to make short work of the Mercy. Jonak dives down. He's got his own Transcendence to keep this push going for New York. Not really much time taken on the point yet, though.
I mean, Meko's back on the Soldier 76 now. NYXL were able to get some kills, but unfortunately, they had no damage. So it was basically all the members of the Shock just standing behind Super Shield.
All right, well, Baby Bay's going to put that Echo 76 push to rest. And New York, though, still fighting it out. You know, he did get the DMEC onto Choyobin during all that, which it did end up being pretty annoying. Libero getting a kill here as well. Sabi will be down maybe. San Francisco can stabilize, but now Mono comes in, gets another kill on Choyobin. So New York still pushing forward. They have still not yet taken a tick here on Point B.
No.
Echo's still on the Soldier 76. Oh, Libero finishes himself off. Whoops. Oopsie.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a mistake there. Supercharger now down. That will end up in Mono's death. Pulse bomb from Sabilby, not going to get anything stuck to the Orisa shield.
That was a long, weird push because just when you thought it was about to end, somebody on New York would get like a pick or two. and it would keep going for just a little bit longer, but in the end, San Francisco manages to hold with no ticks taken by New York.
I mean, this is how it opens, but you just can't let Libero come down there and do that. If that doesn't happen, then it's not even a dangerous position for the San Francisco Shock. One thing, though, is that when they're running that Roadhog, they don't have a Diva to block that. That's why Choi Hyobin's switching now.
Yep. All right. New York back on the high ground. Going for another push here. D-Mac onto Choi Hyobin. Jonak facing a lot of pressure up here. Drops right down, but Sinatra's there. Meanwhile, on the point, New York getting the kills. Libero with another barrage ready to go. Waiting for a chance. That's a good one. Right through the Transcendent. Sleepy not able to keep people alive. Just hops over to finish off Sinatra. And that's New York crushing that fight on point B. Now they've got to deal with the respawns, but so far so good here. You can really cover the doors well with the Vara. Baby Bay back. Goodbye Moth though. Sinatra a little bit on his own. Now Super jumps back onto the point. On the Winston now, not lasting very long. And with that self-destruct, that should be it. They don't even need it to go up. New York. Minute 32 on the clock, and they take both points.
I mean, New York Excelsior, they may not be switching compositions, but those fundamentals about how to select the right target, how to position, they're still there in spades. And this is what makes this team so incredibly dangerous, is the level that you have to play at to beat them, even when you know exactly what they're going to do and how they're going to play is so hard because the execution is nearly flawless. And San Francisco Shock there left them some openings, especially Choi Hyobin, I think, made a couple of mistakes, not swapping off of the Roadhog to the Diva earlier, which opened the door for that barrage because there was no one to respond to the support line, and then he did overextend, at least at the start of that last fight, which sort of kicked things into gear for the NYXL.
Looking at the New York players, I'm starting to wonder if one of the keys to being really good at Overwatch is to wear very round glasses. Seems to be a trend on New York. Or have a center part haircut, one of the two.
Okay, well, you've already got the round glasses, so I guess you'll try the center part haircut next.
See, maybe my glasses aren't round enough, and I had the center part haircut at the end of the late 90s. Yeah,
you can actually, there are pictures.
There's a picture out there, yeah. Not a good one. It's out there on the internet somewhere.
It is quite funny.
Yep. I was so cool.
Yeah, you actually photoshopped all of us.
I did.
Me, Mr. X, you, and Maven, the podcaster, into a glorious like 90s Photoshop picture of all of us from like 10 years ago.
It was. We could have been a boy band.
We should have been
People
a boy
talk
band.
about esports boy bands all the time. That was the real best chance for esports back then.
Well.
Oh well.
I suppose
C'est la vie.
the world will never know what it missed.
That's right. Meanwhile, San Francisco Shock trying to avoid going down 0-2 in the series. They are on the attack now. Looks like they might be going for the triple support, triple tank here to start things off. Interesting.
Yeah, I was curious if they were going to do this with Baby Bay in the roster on Hanamura, because they have run this composition previously, but Baby Bay obviously going to be showing us a very different style of hero than Hitscan, and they'll be showing us the first death for the Shock on their attack as well.
Kidding. Libero gets him first. San Francisco not done yet. They're going to still keep pushing it here. See if he gets a kill on the Sleepy, though. It's getting harder and harder for the Shock to keep this push going. And Jonak says, yeah, I think that I want this push to be over. Good reset. Super grabs one, and he grabs a really good one onto Mono, but the res should come in. Yeah, Animo there with that one. Sinatra not done yet. This guy is so good on the Zarya, but he's going to have to exit the fight. With a good amount of ult charge, though. 44% on the first push. That's not bad.
Yeah, what really hurts the Shock, though, is that Baby Bay dying early denied them a lot of presence on the point. You need that Brigitte to stay alive for the Inspire and for the threat of the Shield Bash as the defenders come back into the point.
Yeah.
Also, really got no rally charge off of that push either, and neither did Moth. So San Francisco Shock couldn't quite hold it together. They're going to come the other direction this time, switching things up as they attack the point.
Fire in the hole. Here comes the Riptire. Libero looking for it. They gave up one tick already. Ooh, but he gets Baby Bay, and again.
That's huge.
Lots of rally charge denied San Francisco, and that kind of does derail what this composition's supposed to do. They back off the point now. That's Sleepy with the Coalescence. Super gets Mono. So San Francisco not done with their push just yet. Gonna go in 5v5 here. Meanwhile, Jonak waiting, still has a Transcendence to use in case things get tough. Oh, that's a big Earth Shatter use, but not for a whole lot of benefit. Is New York able to just keep everybody up? Seemed like a bit of desperation coming in from the Shock. Super nearly cut down, now finished off by Libero. And they use the grab actually too, a couple kills. out of that one.
Yeah, it's still a 4 versus 3. NYXL, a player up on the point as Baby Bay comes back. They've been trying to trickle in right now and save this. They got a tick, but the progress will end there for the Shock.
Yeah, and I mean, it really looks like if they can just keep Baby Bay alive for a little bit longer in some of these pushes, they might be able to win some of these. I mean, they did great starting off where they were in the last one anyway without him.
Yeah, I agree with you. Maybe you want that Graviton back as well. Because,
yeah, you probably do.
It was a little bit off kilter, and
Rally now.
Rally going to be used alongside the speed boost to come into the point.
Oh, and Moth down. They weren't wanting to use that sound barrier, but they're not going to have a chance now. Self-destruct sent in, and he kills out of that one. Nope, Super gets a shield up in time. New York back on the point, though. Animo in the Valkyrie, trying to keep everybody healed. Baby Bay, for once, stays alive in this push for San Francisco. And that's making a big difference. That shield bash is tough to deal with. Here comes the tire, though, and that's going to find, yeah, Sinatra pops a shield, but it gets behind Reinhardt. No kills out of that one somehow, some way. And Shock going to finish off this fight and take point A.
And that's how you force it through, Dope. You have that sound barrier, and you have the rally. You can just play the game tick by tick. Now they're going to rush to this point right now. They've nearly got another Graviton. They can combo that with the self-destruct.
That's the hope anyway. Pull out the bigger bang. Moth down again, though. Libero with the swap onto the Pharah. Finds him quickly. Choyabin down. Or Choyabin kills Libero, rather. Opposite day. Meanwhile, Sinatra roasts Mecco, and New York in a little bit of trouble. That's a nice grab. Where's the follow-up here? They're going to send in the self-destruct, and that's going to grab two. The bigger bang, flawlessly executed by the Shock, and that's going to give them a lot of time on the point here. They got to stay on it. Jonak not able to delay for too long. Now Sabi will be trying his luck. He's going to back away as Mecco comes in. 2 ticks taken by the Shock already here. Mecco just trying to buy time. Now Mono enters the fray. He's got the shield down. He can dodge in and out of it a little bit. Pushing San Francisco back, but not enough, as San Francisco will not be denied here. Jonak behind the ice wall as he swapped over to the May. It's a lot of charge for Sinatra, too. Man, 100 charge. Jonak, the last man standing. He'll get taken out. More respawns coming in, but Pharah really can't hold the point for too long on her own.
No, has to drop down into the slambulance on the point, though. That would never work. Mecco going to be knocked out just to make sure that he's taken off. Nice charge to buy some more time, and that will be the opportunity the Shock need.
Yeah, full 2 minutes more on the time bank for Shock after their attack run. I enjoyed Mecco getting earth-shattered in the air. It looked like he was trying to do a backflip off of there to be cool, but just kind of failed it.
It's all right. He did flip off the point eventually, thanks to Super's charge.
Sure enough.
Gives you the rest of the time you need if you're the San Francisco Shock. And you know what? We talk about fundamentals, Doa, but frankly, fundamentals don't matter quite as much when you're just deathballing the point and daring people to walk into you. Because you have time to think about your combos there. And this composition is strong, but it's hard to make mistakes with it because you do have time to say, okay, we've got these ultimates up. This is how we're going to combo them. It's not the most complex to execute. You're not trying a bunch of tracer flanks. You're not trying to do pincer attacks or send 2 people off to kill their support. It's just everybody together discussing how to use those ults. And San Francisco makes it work.
Well, it doesn't matter who you are, too. I mean, any team is going to have trouble getting through all the armor from Rally and all the extra hit points from the shields on Sound Barrier, too. And that's exactly what that comp is supposed to do. It's just supposed to live.
Precisely. Shock going to go back now to the Widow, Junkrat, and Roadhog. They may try one hook here to surprise the NYXL, and yeah, they will. So they'll wait for them to walk up on the corner. Looks like the Excelsior may be using Animo on the Lucio.
Interesting. All right, maybe just giving you a speed boost, before the swap back to the Mercy. See that a lot in Overwatch these days. And the hook does not connect, so everybody has to fall back now. Not too far. A little wild, though. And there's a hook. Ooh, found Sabielby with that one. Meanwhile, Sinatra gets a kill on the Jonak, too. Libero on his own has to play it safe and retreat a little bit with his team.
I guess they're just really dedicated to using the Pharah Tracer composition right now. With how well Baby Bay has been playing mechanically in Stage 4, I do think may not be the best decision because you're relying on him not hitting some of these shots.
It's also a bit risky.
It's also, even if there's no Brigitte, think about what Sabielby has to walk into. You're talking about Junkrat traps, you're talking about hooks.
Oh, Jonak down. There goes Sabielby as well. Now, New York did make a swap. They put Liver on the Genji now.
All right, so they're back to dive. This is what they did in their last match.
Yep. Tracer Genji dive.
All right, a little strong camping here. Nice job. Pick up the exit kill onto Libero. And we may see a situation here where the San Francisco Shock will be full holding in time bank with only 15 seconds left.
Yeah, that's right. New York nearly out of time here. Anamo's going to have the Valkyrie, but he has to stay alive. He's going to use it right away as they come in. Maybe a bit earlier than New York would have preferred. Maybe Bay just backing off to stay safe. Should have been back to the point. That's going to be a bit of pressure on there from Sabielby. But the fight taken to him by Sleepy, who gets the pick right away. No pressure from New York now. As they jump in, they're going to have to brawl it out, but Sleepy with another one onto Anamo, and Sinatra finishes off Mono, and Jonak coming in with their Transcendence, but it's all jazz hands and not a lot of glee for New York, as San Francisco will full hold here on point A.
That's my new favorite saying, Noah. It's all jazz hands, but not a lot of glee.
Well, that's Transcendence for Zenyatta. That's jazz hands.
But
Feeling jazz hands.
you know, now there may be some glee on the side of the Shock because they've got a lot of time to make this attack. They only have to get to one tick. And NYXL switching to dive so late. When you switch to dive on Hanamura, what it takes on your attack is you have to set up the flank. You can't just go in because you use all your Tracer or Genji dashes to get onto the point, which leaves you with nothing to be evasive with once you're already there.
Right.
So you sort of have to dash through the choke on one of the flanks, recharge your Tracer jumps, and then go in after that if you want to be a real threat. So when you swap to it so late, you can't set up the flank. Sabielby just basically has to just double dash over to the point, and he basically got nothing left. He's a sitting duck.
Yeah, pretty much. You ever think Tracer worries about accidentally blinking into the bell? Like she's inside and they can't get out?
What about into walls?
Oh yeah, that too. I'm just thinking Hanamura specifically. But yeah, of course if you're teleporting, you're always worried about ending up halfway into a wall. But I'm just saying if you're in that bell, everyone starts ringing it, that'd be really annoying.
Yeah, it'd be really loud in there.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, luckily, that's not possible in Overwatch.
Not yet, at least.
That's maybe an early version of the game. We're not sure.
Tracer rework, you know, coming.
Oh yeah.
Where you can just die in walls.
Or through walls. That would be a nightmare. Please do not do that. Nobody going through walls. No shots going through walls either. No far side, please. Here we go. San Francisco on the attack. All they need is a single tick to tie up this series. Win Hanamura. See if they can do it.
And this is the perfect comp for it, right? Because
Sure
you know
is,
you
yeah.
have time. And you can just sit there and get tick by tick. Well, they're not going to be able to revive Sinatra,
Right.
so another time where Sabielby on the first San Francisco attack will get a crucial pickoff, and Sleepy yanked around the corner by a Hulk.
Yep. It's all right. They've got 3 minutes left. They actually had a lot of time in the time bank from their first attack, so when all you need is that first tick, you can kind of buy time.
Indeed you can, but Moth again, he's been a little slow on the sound barrier charge as a result of these delays. So here comes the speed boost.
Yep, going in there again, they're going to take the long way around to try to avoid some fire.
They will. Sleepy takes a grenade there from the Junkrat, but of course not quite enough to kill him. Now they're going to walk back in, and here's the fight.
That's right. And here's a Riptire from Libero, trying to end the fight before it really begins. San Francisco trying to dodge it here. Oh, and Sinatra gets it. Everyone was focused on that Riptire. Nobody wanted this push to end here. And now, a couple kills coming in for New York. There goes Mono and Anamo. Super half health, but looking okay for the moment. Gets the Zarya shield just in time and turns his own shield to absorb that Diva ultimate. Jonak does get the D-Mech on a Choyobin, and now he's got the Transcendence too. So New York not out of the fight just yet. And San Francisco has to back off. A lot of really low health members, and with only Moth around, yes, Sleepy couldn't get back there, and they're gonna get pushed back.
Yeah, Sleepy was isolated
close.
from the other 3 members of his team, so Moth didn't have the healing to bring the tanks back up to full. Libero realizes that, jumps in there with the Junkrat for the double kill. Great reaction by the New York Excelsior when Sleepy gets separated. Now they have to come in again. This time, though, it's looking like they may have the grab. Remember, it's only one combo the Shock need.
Yeah, it looked like such a good start on that last push, too, with the kills onto Anamo. Yeah, Moth getting very close to the sound barrier. They're gonna have the rally right after that if they go in and fight. Then all the other ultimates come online. Here we go, the Riptire could make a big difference, so sent in by Libero, and he gets 2! Moth and Super! How in the world did they get caught by that tragedy for the Shock? They're not out of the fight yet, but it's gonna be tough to keep it going. Okay, now they're out of the fight. Libero just says, hey guys, I'm just gonna go ahead and 1v6. Don't worry about it.
And to add insult to injury, Doa, Mop died during his ult animation, so there's going to be a reset for you. Now, they still have the tools to win this with a minute left. You obviously have the rally. That'll help your survivability going in, and they can execute another Graviton self-destruct combo.
Now, rally is exactly what San Francisco needs in and out of game here if they're going to finish Hanamura. They only need that one tick. They've got the ults to do it. But they're against NYXL. Oh, and Savielby picks off Sinatra before he gets a chance to use a grab. That is really rough. Baby Bay gets the supercharger, but now Sleepy taking off. They're going to try to reset. They got to reset quickly and come back to the point. They only have 20 seconds remaining. I don't even know if you can get here. Yeah, New York, you can take the fight at the choke now.
Yeah, these first two maps have looked good, Doa, for the San Francisco Shock, but when the going has gotten tough, NYXL have clamped down, and it's been lights out. Choi Hyobin used his self-destruct, so now they don't have a combo with Sinatra. It's going to be hard.
Now they're going to get on the point just in time. Savielby gets Sinatra again.
What a huge play!
Get the grab, Savielby. We looked at the stats. We know what this guy can do, and man, talk about an MVP candidate. Super down, Mono finishes him off. Moth not gonna last too much longer. It looks like San Francisco just trying to stay in it. Baby Bay finally gets a bit of revenge on the Savielby, but it's all New York right now. Only Choyobin left near the point, and another rip tire should end it. He's out of the mech, he's out of the game, and New York manages to somehow draw the draw on Hanamura.
That is ridiculous. I mean, Savielby, he had to hit the exact right person every time. And if you think about those San Francisco's approaches on A, it was killing Baby Bay, delaying the rally, huge, and then twice onto Sinatra, getting the headshots to deny the grab is ridiculous.
Well, Savielby hitting shots that only Savielby seems to be able to. It's all, well, it's 1-0 actually going into half after the draw on Hanamura. Halftime when we come back. See what the desk has to say about the first two maps.
The hype is real, the shoutcasters are ready, but to choose the first ever T-Mobile Overwatch League MVP, they need your help. Cast your vote now on Twitter with hashtag OWLMVP and your player's battle tag.
NYXL started things off with a full hold on Kings Row, and after a draw on Hanamura, they take a 1-0 lead over the Shock at the half. Welcome back to the Blizzard Arena, ladies and gentlemen. We are live from Los Angeles with the Overwatch League. We are down to the final 5 days here of the regular season, and honestly, coming into halftime, I expected this one to be tied up 1-1.
I thought it might be 2-0.
New York clutched up so strong at the end, though, and we're going to walk our way through this early rounds of the match. So actually, let's start things off here with Kings Row. It was our first map, my favorite map, and we talked about Jonak. Well, he made his presence felt immediately.
He definitely did. And on the offense in general, NYXL did seem their normal, methodical selves. They're working Libero into key angles, seeing if they could get a scatter kill. He got very unlucky in about the first minute with the play that they set up, but it took them a long time to break this Shock defense. And once we got into the street stage, that tends to be where teams get snarled up and the big ultimates come into play. Super and Choyobin here combining for a ridiculous one, and NYXL really couldn't get too much traction. This final clutch by Baby Bay as he denies Animo getting the res, essentially a bonus 2 extra kills there, because otherwise Animo would have brought somebody back, and San Francisco Shock are able to hold. And I'm thinking, oh, that looks great.
Yeah, exactly, right? If you don't get a third point on Kings Row, things are looking fantastic when you're attacking, but New York's defense here was just on another level, really. I think that what ended up happening is that Jonak was in the high ground uncontested. You can't let this happen. This is the equivalent of letting a sniper have free line of sight. You're gonna pay for it, and they did.
Now let's talk about this second map, because New York, again, not the cleanest gameplay we've seen out of them. In fact, the Shock had the advantage going into the extra rounds, but they simply got held.
Again, yeah, San Francisco has set up a great win condition for themselves. They defend. This is the first time we've seen Baby Bay in an assault map for the San Francisco Shock for stage 4. Normally they were an architect, but obviously they were trying this triple tank, triple support. And on the defense, they had a good system worked out. They held New York. They looked to 1 minute 30, and they looked fairly good for their attack. And then this triple tank, triple support ends up working really well. Moth with a very clutch sound barrier, denies Libero on the tire, and they roll it forwards. This is meta for Hanamura. We expect to see more and more teams do this. The fact that NYXL is still able to win here, when San Francisco Shock have 3 minutes left on the clock, is crazy.
That just shows how good they are, though. They recognize, okay, the only way we're going to lose is we get grabbed right now. You got to kill Zarya before she even gets in there. So they focused the hell out of her, and I don't think Shock even knew what was coming. They didn't expect such a laser focus on the key role.
I was hanging out with some of the Shock owners and some of the managers upstairs, and we were watching it. We're like, oh, you got the win condition, you got the grab, you got your ultimates. Both times, Sabiobi making some clutch plays. Let's take a look back at some of the numbers, though, from the early action, going all the way back to Kings Row. Our top 5 damage dealers. Some interesting names in this mix here, Crub.
I always love seeing this. So when you look at this chart, this is taking into account all 12 members that played in Kings Row. Turns out number 1 and number 2 is your flex DPS. The guy that was playing Junkrat is only 1,000 points of damage behind the Zenyatta. Right, like, that's...
Yeah, and then you look at Sleepy, and he's at 7.3k. Crazy difference. And Jonak was just sat up in that little room at the top for the entire time, and he's just raining damage down into them. So difficult to contest them as well, because they're running Ryan and Hog.
Right, you keep running triple tank every time. Jonak is always going to have the upper hand here.
All right, so let's talk about the Shock here in the second half. What do you guys want to see from this squad? Josh, what were some of the early mistakes you saw, if anything, from the Shock?
Well, when they're trying to run this triple tank composition that they've got Baby Bay in, I felt like it was more, they were actually playing it fairly well, but it was Libero that was able to really make use of this. They're focusing down Baby Bay early in the fights, all spread out on the point, and even though San Francisco Shock are playing it to probably about the best that you can, NYXL have got their positioning on another level, and this bodes well for the second half as well for the NYXL, because they're able to spread out and really control this area. This was the key when San Francisco Shock were able to win, because they get this sound barrier off from Moth just as the tire comes in and save Super Choyobin and Moth with that tire.
You know that tire is what he tried to do the other time where he was unable to time it because the distance he took was a little bit longer. So he definitely had a plan for that.
He definitely did. And then it's Sabiobi at the end that's so clutch. But the NYXL look like they're back at top form. Their positioning is great. They're minimizing mistakes. We really haven't seen too many. Yes, San Francisco Shock are giving them a great game, and NYXL are struggling a little bit with the offense, but their defense is just sublime right now.
We'll see if Monty decides to give his arms a rest in the second half. Before we take off here from halftime, we want to continue our shout-outs to the Pride Watch parties going on around the league. This one's going down Gold Fruit Gaming at Boxers and Hell's Kitchen in New York City, my former hometown. Looks like they're having a great time up there. Hope you guys are enjoying the games. Your New York Excel is now on match point going into the second half. We'll see you in just a few.
Are you ready?
Today, you're in for a real treat.
There's no stopping them. That is it. There we go. What a wild match.
Welcome back, everybody. The New York XL currently hold the 1-0 lead over the San Francisco Shock, and a lot more of the same that we've seen from the NYXL over the last week. They're kind of in cruise control right now, playing the same comp for the entire game. At one point in Hanamura, they weren't even regrouping. They were just trickling into the point, you know, Overwatch comp style. Really uncharacteristic of them, but they are still in the lead. A funny thing worth mentioning, if they lose today, they would have lost more matches in the last 7 days than they've lost for the entire regular season. But of course, as we all know, they've already punched their tickets to the playoffs. They're just kind of trying some new things out and having a good time. On the flip side, though, the San Francisco Shock, they need this win if they want to stay in stage playoff contention. So let's see if they can pull off a reverse sweep, win the last two maps, and win this game right now by sending it back to our casters, Monty and Doa.
Hey, what's up? Thanks, Malik. Hey, so it's time for another map of Overwatch between New York and San Francisco. So New York somehow managed to pull out the draw, actually, on Hanamura, which I'm amazed by, because in order to do that, again, Sableby had to hit those, like, miraculous shots onto Sinatra. And if that hadn't happened, no doubt San Francisco would have taken it.
But that's been one of the exciting things about Stage 4 is the Widowmaker from Sableby.
Yeah.
But we do have some substitutions coming in, as we, I think, expected here on Oasis, given what New York has been doing recently. Of course, we are going to see Pine
It's
come
Pine
in.
time.
And I'm excited about this because Baby Bay versus Pine was definitely one of the matchups that I was excited to see today.
Yeah.
Sort of as a litmus test of Baby Bay's progress, because we haven't seen a lot of him, since basically the start of the league.
Right. We also have Janice coming in, subbing in for Mono over on the New York side as well. Now, Oasis has been a good map for San Francisco Shock recently. They've won their last 3 times on it in Stage 4 here. But they've done it a lot with Architect on the far end. They're not going to have that this time around, so I'm kind of curious what they have in mind.
Yeah, I am a little bit curious as well, but I think Baby Bay, he may go back to the Brigitte right now as we are starting on Gardens, and it was close, I would say, to working for them before, so why not run the triple tank, triple support again? It was just a couple of shots from Sableby away from winning them that map, and they still drew it anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Here we go. Pine lining up the shots already. Waiting for people to come around the corner, but nope. San Francisco taking the safer route around the back. And he's going to have to back away. Oh, that is so aggressive. Shock going crazy here. Super coming around the corner. Takes a face full of whatever Widowmaker's bullets are. And has to turn around.
Jonak was left on the flank, but he's actually going to be allowed to loop back around the staircase and rejoin the team.
He is stealthy. He's got stealth programming. San Francisco Shock, though, they do take the point early. They do get the control percent going first.
Now, timing on that was great from the Shock because they push out, which allows the point to unlock, destabilize NY, take the point, and then they can step off of it. So they're just zooming around the map right now.
Oh, Baby Bay got an early kill on the Jonak, but now New York right back in it again, getting Sleepy and Choyobin. Baby Bay taking shots from behind, gets a Zarya bubble from Sinatra that keeps him alive as he goes around the pillar. Pine, though, he gets Moth, and somebody's got to deal with Pine. Who's going to be the lumberjack to chop down Pine?
No one.
Oh, not this time. Janice gets super.
Unfortunately for the San Francisco Shock, nobody. But they did get, 40% of this point done by the time everything is settled.
Yeah,
NYXL, we saw this earlier this week when the XL played against the Gladiators. Gladiators spent a couple of maps in the first half before they came back with the reverse sweep, trying to punish Jonak's position because he does play far back from the rest of his team. But every time they tried to kill Jonak, like we saw from the Shock here, it would end up worse for the team who had actually picked up the kill onto the XL Zenyatta.
A rally for Shock as they charge into the point here. Libero did swap over to the Pharah, meanwhile. Pine, again, coming in from the flank. Just causing so much pressure on his own, getting chased away though. Now he's in big trouble. Baby Bay smacks him down. Shock having none of that. The speed boost from Moth was something Pine would not have been expecting. Meanwhile, back on the point.
Graviton's not going to do anything, Doa.
I don't think so, no, but San Francisco on the verge of taking the point back, and Jonak's just going to pop the Transcendence actually to get in there and try to keep Meko up, keep the fight going, keep the percent building for NYXL. Meanwhile, Libero has the barrage. She's ready on the far. A Pine down, though. Jonak does get sleepy, and now the chase. Choyobin pushing Libero back.
I don't know if that number of ults was worth it, Doa. Libero
That was a very
pick up
bold
one
rush.
onto Mob, but Sinatra shoots him out of midair, and now the Jonak punish coming on through.
Yeah, I don't know about that barrage from Libero. That seemed a bit desperate, seemed a bit ill-advised. I was wondering if he was going to swap heroes again, but doesn't look like it.
San Francisco Shock going to be there with a couple of key support ultimates as NYXL comes back in. They have adapted. They're trying to use Pine on the Junkrat, which we have seen occasionally from Pine this season in Overwatch League. And San Francisco Shock going to have to be judicious with their use of support ultimates. Sound Barrier going to go down immediately, and they're going to find Pine on the flank all by his lonesome.
That's right, and they are going to be hard to cut through for NYXL in the 5v6 especially. Shock dominating the point right now, up to 80% already. New York trying to take the high ground, but there's just not a lot of damage coming in. Automo chased down by Choyobin. Oh dear. Joe knocked down as well. No more supports for NYXL. Just the tanks, just Janus. Primal raging his way into what will hopefully be a swap, but I don't think so, man. They've got Libero firing from the side here, but San Francisco looks pretty hard to stop on the point at the moment.
Yeah,
At 99% already.
Yeah, Graviton dropped on the low ground. It's only Libero and a mini Diva, and San Francisco looks like they are going to be taking Gardens eventually. And they will. Nobody there. A barrage in midair, not enough to actually touch the point to draw out the overtime. San Francisco Shock sticking to this composition. Good use of speed boost to attack the flanks. And this is a composition that can punish a player like Pine, who likes to be aggressive on the flanks. They are consistently looking for him and catching him out. So a good strategy from the Shock here. And
they're playing the comp really well. They're playing it better than I think I've seen a lot of other teams playing it, in that a lot of teams are like, okay, we're going to use the Lucio speed boost to get onto the point, to get onto whatever objective we're going for. But instead, Shock, like you mentioned, using it to punish Pine. And I think that's actually a more proper way to use it a lot of times against a team like NYXL.
I mean, I love the first cap, and we'll see if they do it again, which is that they play super aggressively with the speed boost, and then they wait for the point to unlock, back off, take the point, while NYXL is trying to recover from the push.
Coming in, Moira leading the way with her Naruto run. Who runs like that?
Moira, apparently.
Moira and ninjas in cartoons.
Actually, you know,
Francisco.
I used to live in Ireland, and all Irish people actually run like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, little known fact.
I did not know that. Thank you. That is fascinating, Monte Cristo. Getting the Irish people on Twitter to refute that, by the way. New York, we're ready for it this time. You saw a lot of members of San Francisco getting really low. They kept most people alive, but it is a bit more of a struggle as the point unlocks here. New York getting the first little bit of control meter built up here towards taking it. Early coalescence from Sleepy, but he can't keep Moth alive. Janus with the Primal Rage just kind of scattering it. It's tough to keep the beam on people when you've got that monkey raging around. Or I'm sorry, scientist. My bad.
Why not both, though? Why not both?
Yeah, he can be both. Well, gorilla scientist anyway. Point's still not taken. San Francisco now the ones who are a little bit closer here. Libero knocked out of commission by Baby Bay. Back in there again. Pine, D-Mex Choyobin, but it will be Shock finally taking the point. They'll get the control percent going first, and Baby Bay right away has a rally ready to go to give them that armor. Uh-oh, Pine though. That's another one on the Moth. San Francisco, though, should hold for now. Yeah, there's Pine going down. Super getting aggressive here, right onto Janus, who leaps away at the last second.
Sinatra's grabs have not been terribly inspirational this round, but they're still managing to pull it out, and eventually the Shock will grind out. Pine back to the Junkrat again. Now, on City Center, there is a little bit more distance, and distance is what you need from the Shock at the moment, because they're moving around as a unit so well that it's sort of about poking from the sides, you know, poking them down slowly and not letting them just walk up on you.
Not letting a back cap happen either, maybe. Somebody's on the point. Janus is there. Nearly back capped it himself. San Francisco has to run back. Kind of smart of New York to send in their Winston.
Yeah, that's what they need. They need to split them up, try and force them apart. Sleepy had to fade back there, which cut off some of the healing from the front line, and now the NYXL pushing forward, but Libero falls in mid-barrage to Sinatra.
Animo really tried to keep him healed up, but he couldn't quite do it. Gets the res, though, so he brings him back to life anyway. You know, when life isn't working out, undeath, I suppose, is a way to go if you're NYXL. It certainly is. They take the point. Back again. 68% for Shock, not too bad at all as they get finished off here.
And now slowly pushed off, and that's what the NYXL have to do. It takes a while here. You have to just zone them away with the Junkrat grenades and the Pharo rockets and make it hard for them, chunk them as they're coming in, get your ultimates up, but then try and finish off Sleepy and Moth. They don't have a resurrection, so with a Barrage or a Riptire, you can do a lot of damage to this composition.
Definitely. Another rally from Baby Bay here as everybody goes to the jump pad. Whoa! It's like a firework of San Francisco Shock players. And when it lands, Pine certainly feels it. That's not supposed to happen with fireworks.
They just ran across the entire map. They jumped to the high ground, speed boosted over to Pine. Pine has been the #1 target for the Shock here.
These approaches have been great for Shock.
They've been playing this super well.
Yeah, Libero's got the barrage ready to go. San Francisco nearly swapping it back already here. Libero down, he blew himself up here. He did get the barrage kill on the Choyabin, but I think we can tell the story of what happens from the kill feed with that one. Meanwhile, Baby Bay finishes off Animo. Shock getting even closer to flipping it back again. It looks like New York's gonna be able to get close in control percent. But Shock slowly grinding this one out.
Yeah, Shock coming in with a really good game plan. It was predictable that Pine was going to be coming in. Pine plays a certain way that if you have a lot of mobility, you can punish it. He's been caught out alone quite a few times. Riptire now up and available, and that's going to be shield bashed by Baby Bay.
That is a brave way to get rid of a Riptire. Shield bash it. It's like Genji cutting it with the Dragon Blade. New York back on the point now, and an early kill on a Baby Bay. New York trying to take it back. Oh, but Super with a nice Earth Shatter. That's 2. Luckily for Pine, though, well, maybe not so luckily. He did die eventually, but initially was body blocked from dying to the charge by Meko. Shock still holds, though, and they look like they might be on their way to a 2-0 win here on Oasis. If they can just win this last fight, they've got it. Sinatra got the grab, pulls in Meko. He's a sitting duck now, and that's going to be Shock getting the 2-0 on Oasis.
Not only pulling in Meko, crucially preventing Meko from contesting the overtime on the low ground with the Mercy up in the air. No one to dash to on the low ground. San Francisco Shock will keep them alive in this series, and that will be a 1-1. All the marbles on this next match between the XL and the Shock.
I love it. We're going to Dorado after this one. See who takes the match. Don't go anywhere. More Overwatch League coming up right after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone.
First, they're sour. Then they're sweet.
Oh, thanks, guys.
New Sour Patch Kids Fire and Freeze. Sour, sweet, gone.
In Stage 4, Week 3, the San Francisco Shock started their matchup against the Boston Uprising on Kings Row. With less than 30 seconds remaining, the Shock were in need of a stellar push to win the map.
They are right on the edge of San Francisco Shock. It's about winning out this fight.
Sinatra Zarya used Graviton Surge to trap Notes Diva and Calix's Alting Mercy. Mistakes attempted a Riptire, but that was destroyed by Baby Bay. Finally, Gamsu's Winston was eliminated during a last leap effort toward the payload.
Now we've got the grab. He's going to teabag this. Exactly. There it is. Exactly. And they're all in it. Gamsu even gets sucked into his demise, and it's San Francisco Shock.
The San Francisco Shock went on to win the match 3-1. That right there was the turning point where Sinatra and the San Francisco Shock turned a sour moment into something sweet. Presented by Sour Patch Kids Candy.
Welcome back, everyone. Zoe here, and yeah, some may or may not have noticed that we saw Baby Bay back on stage again, and we have to say, ever since Architect has joined the San Francisco Shock, we haven't seen an awful lot of King Baby Bay, mostly on assault maps. I like the reaction to that. Now, yeah, mostly on assault maps. So I talked to their coach, Krusty, about the decision behind this, and he actually told me that it all kind of comes down to a communication problem they had when they played with Architect. For one, of course, he's not a native speaker. He only just learned to speak English. So there is the language barrier, which also influences not just him communicating with his team, but also him understanding what they're trying to tell him. So there was a lot of moments where he couldn't quite make out what they want from him, and on assault maps, you need a lot of communication and a lot of coordination, and you also need the leader type of player. And that's not quite what Architect is, even though he's a fantastic player. Now, Baby Bay, on the other hand, he's super vocal, very communicative. He is able to pick up that leader role, and Krusty has been working a lot on this leader role in-game with him, and he's very happy with how things are working out with Baby Bay in that team on assault maps. And I mean, they just tied it up against NYXL. It's 1-1 San Francisco Shock. This is a do or die map, so let's head straight into it.
Thank you, Zoe. That's right. It is do or die now. We are going down to the last map here. Dorado will be the place to decide who wins this match, NYXL or San Francisco Shock. And we do have some substitutions to talk about before we get into the action here on our escort map.
Yeah, it really is fun that it's coming down to this last map as well as San Francisco Shock look to make those stage 4 playoffs. Of course, ABLB will be coming in for Pine.
He's back. That's right. Coming in on our final map of the match, and Mono back in for Janice. So the changes you would expect from NYXL going into an escort map in most situations.
Yeah, and I really loved watching the San Francisco Shock on that last map because I don't think, London, we saw in the previous match, was running a similar triple tank, triple support composition, but I'm not sure if we've seen anybody play it as well as San Francisco did on Oasis. And
I agree.
I think you have to give some credit to the coaching staff of the Shock, anticipating Pine being in there, and really it was a tactic to punish Pine's play style. And as Zoe said, we all know, you've seen Baby Bay stream, you know he's a very talkative guy, and I think that having him in for the communication does make a lot of sense, and he's been delivering mechanically in terms of his individual play as well, so hard to argue, especially when you have to call things so quickly around the Lucio speed boost.
I mean, hey, if you can hang in the 1v1 with Pine, Sableby, you're doing just fine, right?
It's more like a 6v1 versus Pine.
Yeah, that's true. But hey, you're still hanging. You're just hanging together, right? Isn't that nice? It's a team game, Monte Cristo.
It certainly is. The San Francisco Shock showing us that on Oasis, and now we'll be...
Uh-oh. Oh, dear.
Sabiel.
Save him.
It's fine. He's covered by a defense matrix, so
okay.
We'll be able to survive. Libero with the Pharah flank right now. Mono already all the way behind the formation. And they're going to be trying to shut down Baby Bay.
Yeah, look out.
Now they know where he is, so Libero's going to see Mono right now, and they're trying to find supports. Oh, they're just going to jump right in. Oh, but no, that's a huge kill.
Baby Bay picks off Libero, and there goes Mono as well. So this long extended flank just falls apart for New York.
I can't believe Moth lived through that.
No kidding. What a reaction from Shock to save him.
Yeah, Baby Bay had some clutch picks on the Widowmaker. Going off one more time. You see, from his perspective right now in the replay.
I sense danger.
Wow.
Dude. That was very good. San Francisco with a solid defense to start things off. New York was still about 240 on the clock, though.
New York is going to do exactly the same thing again. We'll see if it works this time. Baby Bay looking around the side right now. You can see they know where Mono is. The Zenyatta orbs are already free-firing in his direction.
Yeah. And of course, Libero usually playing that second sniper, this time going with the Pharah. Mono coming back around. We talked about it, and he's in a lot of trouble. Yeah, that's ran right into the Venom mine. Baby Bay had that well placed, and it was an easy finish on Mono. Going to be Transcendence from both ends in the side room. This fight gets a bit aggressive there. Meanwhile, Libero being annoying in the back lines. Baby Bay, ooh, nearly got him over the wall. At least he stayed alive, which is big. And now with Animo falling, New York has to fall back again.
Yeah, Animo, after the Valkyrie is used, gets plucked out of the sky. Meko, all he has to show for that self-destruct is a supercharger. And now New York really having trouble. They're not switching their composition at all heading into this. And in fact, continue to use the same tactics over and over. They get Choi Hyobin, but that's not going to be enough.
Man, if you have like a zoo and the animals break out, Baby Bay is the guy you want to call because he has been handling this roving Winston so well. I mean, maybe that's not how you want to recapture the zoo animals, but he can take care of them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm saying take care of him like a mob boss would say take care of someone, not like a grandmother would say take care of this child or something.
The cruel gorilla handler, is that what you're saying, Noah?
Oh, Sableby's had enough, though. And now New York coming back in a big way. This Riptide is going to need to be massive to save point A for Shock, and it will not be. Sableby picks it out of the air, and now San Francisco on their last legs defensively here. Maybe people can get back in time. That payload still doesn't move very far, and the tanks are actually delaying for quite a while, but now the rest of the team has to fight it without tanks, and that's going to be tough. So,
yep. Strong hold, though, from the San Francisco Shock. This is where the comps are going to have to change. Super wants to play the Reinhardt now, and Baby Bay, who has been showing us some Brigitte play pretty extensively, and that's a surprise. And I think it's a really good thing for Baby Bay to start trying to diversify his hero pool, because he's been an excellent hit scan player for a while, but never really showed us a whole lot beyond that. His Genji was pretty subpar, let's put it that way, in stage 1 of the Overwatch League. It's about time that we see some more diversity from this guy when it comes to hero selection.
Well, certainly doing a good job with the new pickup so far. Hyobin taking some shots. Sleepy gets taken down by Mono. That's not a great start for San Francisco on the point B defense. Libero drops, but so far that payload hasn't moved through the doorway. Now Sabi will be cleaning people off the payload, and it looks like New York should be able to get some distance soon. They should indeed. Libero gets rezzed, and now New York with a few ultimates to push ahead with.
Yeah, now they seem to have gotten their feet under them. A couple of one fights in a row now lead them in a pretty good spot when it comes to that ultimate bank. With Animo there on the Valkyrie. San Francisco, though, should be able to answer this. We'll see if Moth can get up to his own Valkyrie in time.
That's right. Sableby gets a kill on the Baby Bay early on. That's not something Shock wants to deal with. And there goes Sinatra as well. Jonak with the finish in the courtroom.
Gets the death penalty.
That's right. He's been sentenced. And the barrage comes in. Super trying to do what he can, but Libero just helps him chew through those tanks. Tanks are kind of tough, too. It takes a lot of chewing.
Wow, New York really cruising now, though.
Yeah.
Ever since that last fight in Point A, San Francisco, they've been getting picked off. Sabi will be again doing work on this map, which has prevented the Shock from really using any of their ults. But now we're going to see some come through. But Moth is going to fall.
Yeah, he doesn't get to use his ult. In fact, dies before Valkyrie gets popped. That's going to be a problem for Shock. Meanwhile, Sleepy had the Transcendence out. Sinatra managed to find the Pulse Bomb onto Mono. Libero, though, jumping after Sleepy. How in the world is he staying alive? Jonak's like, you know what? I got the finish, man. Don't worry about it. Super blocks the self-destruct meanwhile. And now the Valkyrie comes in, but there's no one left, and Sableby with the finish. That's going to be point B. It's a strong point A defense, but so far it's been all New York since then.
I mean, they've won every fight, basically, since that last fight on point A.
Yeah.
And they continue to have that momentum. Made up a lot of ground and made back a lot of time now. Get a decent push into point C. And, you know, if I'm the Shock, I think I'm a little bit worried right now because their defensive rounds have been better for the most part than their attack rounds this series.
Barrage coming in, has to look away from Choi Hyobin. Doesn't want to blow himself up. with his huge amount of anime rockets. Meanwhile, New York not really stopped at all in this fight. Moth, ooh man, that Zarya shield lasted just long enough to keep him alive. Unfortunately, Sinatra can't say the same thing for himself. And they're pushed back to spawn. New York getting a lot of distance on this payload, and they've got Shock all pinned in.
Yeah, Shock now. They've really used a lot of their abilities already coming into this last fight. They haven't gotten any value. They haven't won a fight in a long time. Now Mono gonna try and control the payload right now, push everybody off it to go drive it those last few meters home.
Well, this is great. Get the tanks out of the way and let the rest of your team handle what's left. Oh, but Animo caught by the self-destruct. Whoops. Super down, so Shock still has a chance to defend here too. And they're getting the kills to do it with. There we go. So Shock barely at the end do pull off the defensive hold. They've got the armor from the rally as well. And New York with less than a minute to complete the map.
And Animo has been caught by so many of these self-destructs in this series. We haven't seen Arc playing in a while for this New York team, but I think this match at least, we're gonna have to make a memorial to him, call it Remember the Animo.
I think so. That's right. When we remember it, we'll just kind of chuckle because it's funny to see somebody get blown up by the self-destruct. New York with some ultimates here of their own to use. As they push ahead, 25 seconds left. This needs to be a fight that New York wins if they want to finish the point. Shock loses Moth early. Not a great start to lose that Lucio. And here comes the grab. Libero waiting for it, drops a barrage as Sinatra tries to get in to save the rest of his team. That's a lot of kills from New York. And that's gonna be the finish. Nearly a team kill, just Sleepy and Moth left, and they're scrambling to get back to the point. Moth can't do it, Sleepy can with the fade, but that's gonna be that. And in overtime, New York completes their attack round.
I love that play from Libero. The barrage comes down after the grab because they know the only damage left is Zarya. As long as they cut the Zarya off from firing into the grab, there's no way they can pick up kills off of it. So Libero really nicely separating the Shock Zarya away from the ultimate. And now NYXL coming up clutch in the last few seconds after a bit of a struggle on point A, but waltzing through the rest of the map.
It's been interesting because there's been such a big emphasis on Libero's Pharah in this series today. And sure, we've seen him play Pharah plenty of times in the past, but not on some of the maps we've seen him play it on today. And you got to go back to, is this New York sort of planting those seeds in their opponents' minds, looking forward to those overall Overwatch League playoffs and saying, hey, this is yet another thing you need to prepare for and you need to be worried about if you're going to potentially face us.
Yeah, I do like the fact that we saw the Pharah defense because so many of the New York compositions recently have been just stock. They'll just run 2x sniper ad nauseum. It seems like New York has moved away from double sniper this week, which I find interesting because they have been insistent on running that composition consistently throughout stage 4.
That's right. So San Francisco Shock able to hold New York Excelsior to overtime, but they did give up all 3 points. A chance for themselves to attack here. And what do we have here?
Well,
AWOL shenanigans.
So they have 20 seconds to change this May pick.
Can you actually get...
Are they trying to boost Jonak up onto the high ground? And they are.
Oh, okay. Oh,
nope.
Failure. It was a nice try anyway. That's a total Libero thing to do. Being from Meta Athena back in the day, they were all about the crazy May strats. But
on Dorado too.
Yeah, on pretty much every map. Hanamura was another notable one with them, but yeah, Dorado as well. Got to scramble to get back there. They've got some time before the payload gets to the choke, though.
I mean, you have plenty of time because you're not gonna really fight here. Maybe you think you can get a lucky pick by having a halt, pull somebody out into a Widowmaker shot from that high ground, but you're not giving up a lot.
You can see Baby Bay scouting by holding up his shield, and yeah, that lets him see around the corner. Nice shot by our observers there.
Yep.
Showing us what he's doing. Kind of keeping an eye on what New York has going.
All right, so they're back to this triple tank, triple support composition. They're going to try and find Libero. They've been hunting these Junkrats. However, he's going to drop down, and they can't get down to the low ground in time. Libero, I think he's very aware after watching that Oasis map, his fate, should he not use that concussive mine to escape.
Bit more slippery on the Junkrat than you would see from a Widowmaker too. With that Widowmaker, when the grapple's gone, you're gone. Junkrat's got a couple concussion mines though to jump around the map with. And Baby Bay going in, getting the heals he needs to just walk forward aggressively with that flail. Here comes a tire though. Rolling. Loses a lot of HP to the Coalescence. That Sleepy used. Baby Bay down. That's going to be the DMEC on a Choyobin. And Shock, a little bit of trouble on the push here. They can still keep going forward, but the payload's not moving right now.
Yeah, but there's no tank to walk up now onto the payload, and that's going to be a problem.
That's the thing. Ooh, Jonak with a kill onto Super, sets it up for the rest of his team to win this one. Nice fadeaway orb on the Moth as he flees the fight, and that's going to be New York holding on A.
Yeah, who needs an Orisa when your Diva's going to remech, and at least you have Libero, who's been playing quite well on the Junkrat this evening, picking up kills at the end of fights and closing things out for the Excelsior.
Yeah.
San Francisco not changing anything. They're coming back around to the high ground on the flank. Everyone's stacking up behind that staircase.
Save will be trying to get Shock as they come down the stairway. They've got that big shield to high bind. Ooh, the Hulk nearly pulled him in the range. That was a dangerous moment. Sinatra waiting for a chance to use this grab. Doesn't want to get it eaten though. Tosses it in now after the Diva Bomb comes out. Save gets a kill on a Baby Bay. And Shock moving forward. They didn't get a lot of benefit from that grab. No one to follow up when you had to run away from the self-destruct.
Joey doesn't have a self-destruct himself either, so they can't walk up on it like you say, Doa, and they can't just throw in the mech to finish it off either.
Yeah.
You wonder with this little amount of time remaining, should they have waited for the self-destruct? They're still pushing it, but there's still all 6 members of NYXL left right here. Baby Bay gonna try and come back in, but that'll be a quick end to the San Francisco Brigitte player.
I mean, again, you got to talk about Sabilby's Widowmaker here. He has gotten so good on this hero, and you know, I feel like every broadcast, every match, we talk about somebody being one of the best Widowmakers in the league, but Sabilby actually has the stats to back that up now.
Yeah, he's 18 limbs, 10 final blows, and only 2 deaths on this map so far. He's made a lot of the critical picks that they've needed as well
in the series.
Yeah, to snowball on these team fights.
Oh, the rally and the sound barrier. San Francisco Shock not pulling any punches, trying to finish point A. Libero goes deep though with the Pharah. This supercharger does not last long, but neither does Meko's mech. Sinatra gets a final kill onto the mini Diva inside, so Shock nearly has point A done here. But somebody's got to deal with Libero. That's a great D-mech on a Choyobin. A final blow onto him as well as he pops out of the mech. And Shock in a lot of trouble here. New York on the verge of full holding here on point A.
Oh,
man.
Sinatra just rocket and a punch.
Fist to the face from Pharah. Yikes.
And now Baby Bay, the only one within line of sight. He barely has any HP, and the rest of his team has to make it there in 10 seconds. Super now on the Winston. They're trying to dive onto the cart in time. Choyobin coming around the back just to trigger OT.
Yep, that's right. He gets there just in time, but Baby Bay down. Libero goes aggressive in the backlines and finishes him. That's a bold barrage. Everybody runs for cover, but it does at least bottle them up where New York can kind of keep an eye on him. Sleepy tries to be elusive, but it doesn't work out. And now Moth half health. The payload still stalled. Moth down. Libero taking matters into his own hands. And New York finishes off the rest of San Francisco. Guess what, Monty? Inigo Montoya is not left-handed, and New York is still one of the best teams in Overwatch League.
And San Francisco, as we thought, was just not quite there yet. I love that Oasis map. I love their game plan coming in. And they'll be a force in the future, but the fundamentals, really, of the NYXL strong enough to carry them to the win.
Yep, that's right. So, after a losing streak of 2, which was their longest ever in the Overwatch League, they do get a win here against San Francisco Shock.
Really, it's incredible that out of nearly 40 games now in the regular season, all we can say is that 2 games is the longest losing streak. What a dominant team.
True. I think if you're a San Francisco Shock fan, though, you've got a lot to really be happy about with this team. I mean, these guys are looking better every time we see them, and even just the way they were able to kind of dominate Oasis with that triple tank, triple support comp. Very cool stuff coming out of these guys. A lot of cool stuff coming in the future from them as well. And some even more cool stuff coming up from the desk when we come back. We're going to take a strategic look
The
at those
Overwatch
maps.
League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel. Intel Core i7 powers the Overwatch League.
welcome back. It's been a fun day here at the desk and inside the Blizzard Arena. Our first match went the distance with the Gladiators pulling off the reverse sweep, and now we saw the Shock so close, couldn't close it out on their attack. New York XL stops their losing streak of 2 of their 5 matches this season and are back in their winning ways. We've got Crumbs, we've got Sideshow, and we've got 2 games to walk through, so let's jump right into it with our control map here, fellas. Sideshow, you were watching Oasis very intently, keeping your eyes on all of the players. Who impressed you most?
Well, it's not so much an individual player, I think, when you talk about this composition. It's just a system that works well. The big difference is that they're running Baby Bay and Sinatra rather than Baby Bay and Architect, and that allows them to run this triple tank, triple support composition. And as you heard Zoe saying in her halftime piece, that Baby Bay adds more communication to the mix and a little bit more of that leadership figure as well. And on the control, it's really difficult to run away from this. The control maps are smaller, the walls are at your back, and the triple tank, triple support gets a lot of value.
When we got to go to Dorado, though, what we really got to see is Libero and SBB shine here. I'm truly loving the development of New York XL here, just trying to run far in as many maps as you possibly can to try to figure out what these teams are going to be doing. You see that the San Francisco, they're not making swaps to respect Libero, and they're paying as a result for it.
And this triple tank, triple support really didn't get that much value from San Francisco Shock when they were on the offense. You can see that when the maps are slightly larger, like Hanamura and now on Dorado Point A, the best team in the world at positioning, the NYXL, really can spread out and make it very difficult for those tanks to find a singular target and really run them over. Meko and Mano trading aggression really well, getting great value out of the defense matrix, and then Mano and Libero and Sabiorbi able to spread out, like you said, and just get picks all over the place.
It's pretty hard if you were to say that Libero is definitely one of the best bars, if not the best bar in the league, and then there's nobody that can shoot him. So how do you deal with that? You really can't. So the composition, I think, is not entirely suiting San Francisco all the way. I think that I like more decisive aggression from this team as opposed to just relying on the sheer power of these heroes.
It is another tool in their arsenal, though,
yeah,
right? Which is kind of cool that we've seen this. We've seen that San Francisco Shock are now pretty good at dive. They've got that kind of nailed. Sinatra's doing really well, and Super was doing well as well. They've got Architect they can plug in. Now they can play these tankier compositions if they know that their opponent is weaker to them. Happens to be that the NYXL is not. So I like this adaptation, and like Monty was saying in the cast, it's all a progression towards Season 2 for this team, because they are looking very strong. They have players that are very young with a lot of potential.
And unfortunately, after that loss, San Francisco not looking like they're going to make those Stage 4 playoffs. There's still a little hope. We'll see what happens. But for now, we know that New York XL is back to their winning ways. And we saw a star performance tonight by our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. It's not Sabiolbi. It's not Jonak. It's Libero this time, fellas.
Yeah, Libero has been always the consistent silent killer for this team, and look at him. He's playing Pharah in places where nobody else does. He's been playing Hanzo before other players have in the league, and he's going to continue just pressuring his opponents with different roles, putting them out of their comfort zone.
This one was the most impressive for me. His performance on Junkrat on Hanamura is the reason the Shock did not get their 1-point victory in the first half.
Agreed, along with those clutches from Sabiorbi. And Libero is unique in his ways that he finds really different flanks. He comes from the exact opposite direction to the one you expect. You can imagine that, remember that sneaky Hanzo on Kings Road Point A as well. Unfortunately, the scatter arrow didn't hit, but he does this all the time, and it makes you wonder where he is.
Look at what it's doing, though, right? Because they've only started flanking this much in this stage. They hadn't really done that before, so this is what other teams are thinking. They're now associating Libero with, oh, it's a flanking Pharah now. It's a flanking Junkrat. That's exactly what New York wants. When you go into playoffs, they're doing prep. Oh, Libero is going to be flanking all the time, so you never know what to expect.
Josh, we've seen kind of New York take their foot off the gas pedal. What did you see today? Are they back at 100%? Do they have a ways to go before they reach their maximum potential for the playoffs?
I think they're still not throwing different, unique strategies at other teams. They're not doing specific counter preparation, but they're still playing really well, and they're not making as many mistakes right now. I would expect them to ramp it up as we go towards the Stage 4 playoffs, because they want to cement their place in history as the team that won Stage 2, Stage 3, Stage 4. It's not really so much about, oh, you dropped them a match here or there to the LA teams. No one's going to really remember that, but they are going to remember if you win the Stage 4 finals and then the overall playoffs.
Congratulations to New York XL, our #1 team in the world of Overwatch. But coming up next, guys, we're going to show you a team that has climbed all the way up to #2. It's your Los Angeles Valiant taking on the playoff hopeful Houston Outlaws after this.